Let's see what happens. All right, still got about 10 minutes here. Let's get on it some more. Take that echo off. How about now? How about now? I lost my groove, man. Wrestling with that damn thing, man. Holy cow. Time is it? Hey, 6 o'clock. Time to get started. Hey, everybody. Let me get this stuff off. All right. Uno momento. Clickety clack that off. Oh, first of all, Rabun County Rag. Everybody, welcome to the Rabun County Rag. I don't know if I've had any viewers. I don't see any right now, but man, am I having a ball pretending like I'm talking to somebody. At least I have an opportunity to express myself. Anyway, this is the Rabun County Rag. The name, for now, I'm saying that it originated from the old ham radio days, where guys on the radios, I've talked about it before, but they would communicate with one another over the airwaves, and they would have a chosen night or whatever. And if you want to know more, you can ask me. But they'd have every Wednesday night at 9 o'clock, they would get together, or whenever the signals would propagate real well, because they were using all kinds of stuff. Oh, I got to change my thing too. This is not nothing new. This is a Rabun County Rag. All right. Let's see, got that squared away. Sorry about that. But anyway, that's where they'd get together and they'd call it chewing the rag. Just yakking. Let me see if I can get some of this gain backed out. I see I'm peeking in the yellow. Let me get that in the floor. Yeah. One man traveling show here, man. I got some snake oil for you too. Anybody interested in some snake oil, hit me up. We'll work something out. Anyway, what was I talking about? Ragging, chewing, sharing. So I said, I don't see enough people doing that today. And I know everybody's tied up, and a lot of people listen to the radio, but maybe they don't feel like they can call in at the time. And I'm just giving another outlet for people to get together and share their outlook on life. And this is kind of what I have as a community now. If somebody takes over this thing and wants to run with it, man, y'all can have it and do it any way you want, as long as we got some bylaws in place to protect and make sure that people are getting just basic information, and it's not being, all that other stuff. We just want to be a community of people. A community of people, of like-minded people with common interest in hunting, fishing, protecting our community, culture, families, and environment. And that probably needs to be changed around a little bit. I think family should be closer to the top, but I'm waiting on somebody. That's kind of a fish bait. If anybody makes a suggestion, that way it gives an idea of what kind of program we're trying to head up. Anyway, another thing we do is that we exchange ideas, resources, and information. And that's what people in the small community do. And it's not necessarily about anything other than if a neighbor is in need, that he has resources to call upon. And I know they got Facebook, and I'd like for this to be, one of these days. I mean, even now you can do Zoom calls with 25 people on, or 10 people on, or you can have a subject and you can only have guests that come in. So you could do all kinds of things, but it would be focused on, the local community. And now y'all decide what is local and all that stuff. Doesn't matter to me, as long as we're a group of like-minded people. We can help each other. If you're close enough, I can reach you, then you're a neighbor, I reckon. So that's who we are. Hope everyone had something to be grateful for this past week. And that brings me to the thing I was going to show you earlier. Now, I've bought, I think, most of the grandkids a ukulele. And the first couple, I don't think, or the first one, I don't remember how it is. I don't think that, well, they still have some musical interest, so I will give them that. And I think I watched my sister and her husband do this, but my grandson just had a birthday back in January, and I've always thought ukuleles were cool. And I've played them a time or two, not much, just they were old junky ones that nobody took care of, and I didn't know how to tune it up. But I bought this one for my grandson for his birthday, and it really wasn't that expensive. The only reason I got that tag on there is so I could write down how to tune it, what keys it tunes in, because I couldn't remember. I got the mandolin and the guitar and now this. So I'm not very talented, but you can, if you got a tune in your head and it wants to get out, I think this is a cheap way to do it. And I bought it for him. And he had a couple little toy guitars, and we'd get to playing on them and stuff like that. And he'd come down here to the man cave, and he saw I had a mandolin, and he saw I had a guitar. And if I grabbed the guitar, he wanted to grab the mandolin. And, he wanted to do the kitty. I said, slow down, son. And so when I bought this for him, I put a condition on him that when he took a solid interest in it and he really wanted to learn how to play an instrument, he's got something to choose from. And this is his. And if he doesn't want it, then we can find somebody who will trade with him for something else. But the condition is that it has to be purposeful. If he wants to play it, then he can ask me. It hangs on the wall. And he knows he has to sit down and he has to strum it, not but just strum it. And now he's learning that pushing the keys down makes the sounds change. But some days he doesn't want to do it. I don't bring it up. Sometimes it's just a relationship thing. But anyway, I got to staring at that thing on the wall, and I was thinking, I need to probably make sure that thing plays okay. And we didn't get ripped off, and become more proficient in case he wants to know. At least I can say, hey, yeah, try this or try that or try this, and how it's tuned and all that stuff. And this is real easy on the fingers, but it has to be purposeful. He has to say, hey, look, I want to play my ukulele, Pawpaw. I said, well, let's go. And then he can go. He can play this, and I'll grab a mando or a guitar, and I'll do my thing while he does his thing, and maybe one day we'll tie something together, and who knows, man, but it's a bonding thing. So gratefulness, and I hope you've had something exciting like that in your life this week as well. Probably not much on the calendar. Darn newspaper here just didn't have much information. It's just a bunch of repeat stuff, but I know they got to fill the pages and sell the paper, and try and write stuff it might sell. I didn't see this old vet guy in there. They talk about the environment, but it's more like a pissing match or whining instead of, what do we need to do? Let's get together and do something. To me, it was like a Debbie Downer, and I just didn't want to participate, man, because we got things here we can do. Anyway, there's some stuff going on. Remember we talked about the litter bugs in a previous stream, but if you live in an area that's still relatively rural, but it has a tourist destination or a place that people like to go, I think it should be a constant reminder to our visitors that this is our home. And, we love you coming and visiting, man. We want you to come and see us. We want to build a strong and vibrant community that can maintain its natural resources, the thing that attracted people here. Now, I ain't been here all my life, but I've been coming here all my life, and I can see some changes in the area that I live in. And I have to confess that I was an intruder, and I probably still am. But I care about and love the environment up here. It has the things that I always came to as I was growing up and through my young adult life, high school, college, family life, part of the kids' life. It was just something to be in the outdoors and to enjoy Mother Nature around you. And you could participate in many ways. There's many ways to participate in the bountiful resources that we have around us. Plenty of ways. But remember, this is our home. Like I said, we welcome you. We want you to come, but please respect it. Please, when you go to the lake shores and when you go to the campgrounds, whether they be primitive or modern campgrounds, please keep the trash picked up. Don't be a draw for wildlife. Don't feed them. Don't make them dependent on you. That sounds cruel, I understand. But if you take a squirrel, I think they can breed twice a year. A squirrel will, and maybe rabbits too. But if they're getting ample food, they reproduce more. And when there's more of them with shrinking resources due to visitors, they become dependent on the visitors, and the visitors enjoy feeding them. They like seeing the wildlife. They like doing that. That's the thing they like to do. And they can draw them in closer, whatever. But it gets to be too many because they're so healthy, they breed excessively. And then when the visitor season slacks off, they've reproduced, and now there's not enough forage for all of them to survive throughout the wintertime. So they die a horrible death of freezing to death or being caught and eaten by an apex predator. I'd much rather see the predator, a hawk, an owl, an eagle. I'd rather see that take them than them die a horrible death in freezing. And so it's all a balance. But just the trash, man, gee whiz, the wrappers, the plastic, the baby diapers, the toilet tissue, they, just leave it in a pile right there in the wilderness for everybody else to enjoy. Not very neighborly, man. Anyway, that was something that was brought up last week, which leads into there's a community cleanup in Mountain City this weekend, and I think one in Tiger as well. So if you live in the area and you catch this before the weekend and you're a part of that neighborhood and they're getting together and they're going to clean the street or whatever, if you got the time, get out there and say hello and pick up a bag or two of trash. How long does it pick up a bag or two of trash? And I probably won't be there, but yeah, just commitments. But if you got the opportunity, go by there. At least I'm trying to put out the word. I'd like to see that to be a successful endeavor for them. Yeah, we talked about Arbor Day. Now Clayton's got their regular farmers market. It was in town. I'm not sure where they moved that. If anybody knows where they moved that market to, give me a post so that I can share that. where the Clayton Farmers Market is. It used to be where the food bank is, but for some reason I thought they had moved down to where the pavilions are. I'm not certain. And of course, there's the indoor flea market if you're into such. And I think that place is limited in time as well as the one in Mountain City, man. I hope that's a rumor. Somebody give me an update on. But I mean, you could go to flea. I love going to flea markets. They're a wonderful activity. It's a hubbub of activity. It's something else, man. It's a wonderful place. It's meet people, you develop interest, you find things you might need or things you think you might need, and you go ahead and spend your dollars there, and it's and you're buying things that either have a history or are built well enough to have a history, if that makes any sense. It's you know, I bought some Tinker toys for my grandson. They were in somebody's garage for years, and it was the old wooden ones, and I think I gave $20 for a big old box of this stuff. And it was a mess. It was nasty. It was probably it was an early set. I'd say at least the 50s. It could have been older than that. But, so I took them down and put them on the bench, and I took that old linseed oil and cleaned them first. Just wiped them all down with soapy water, cleaned them, let them dry, and then started coating them with that old linseed oil. Not thick, just putting it on and putting them in the box and keeping them turned until it looked like they weren't going to take any more of that linseed oil. And got him looking pretty good. And got him for the grandson. You know, I don't buy that stuff at the Wally World. Them little play islands and plastic stuff. And I know that's good for them, but I don't know. I just thought they were cool, and I think it would be good for mathematical and engineering development. Mechanical development, that's what that would be for. And the other stuff, it's kind of mechanical, I guess. But anyway, it don't matter. We're all pitching in, trying to do the best we can to make him a decent human being. And I did write that last week about the darn newspaper, man. It got a lot of. It's a big community. It's a nice community. You know, it's people, and yeah, the newspaper is a perfect place to have written expression. But anyway, I'm not sure what all that means. But it just, you could tell that I don't know. Anyway, I love everybody. It's a strange world. You get me off in some political thought here about responsibility and accountability and all that stuff. I just did a video that today, as a matter. Well, I recorded it yesterday, and at a critical point, I used the negative of a word instead of the positive of the word, and I had to cut a B-roll, and I said, you know, I could probably go down there and just record over that in the morning and do the whole recording, and won't take but, 7 or 8 minutes to do the recording. And then I got to thinking about, setting up for the lights and getting the sound, the computers fired up, reading the script a time or two, making sure it's clear. That takes 15, 20 minutes, and 10 minutes for record time. That's a half hour. And then you got to spend who knows how long editing it. And so I did that B-roll, and I said, and I got to thinking about the editing process where you'd have to splice it in there so that it blended well and didn't have what looked like a jump cut, because I tried to get it all out in one sentence to try and keep it cohesive, congruent. That's a new word. Well, it's not a new word, but I did use that word today, congruent. And I like that word. So if y'all, that sounds like a country music song, don't it? Congruent. A Grateful Dead song for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I got a busy week in front of me. How about the rest of y'all? Yeah, we got, I did tell y'all about the Bears last week, didn't I? I think the week before. I don't remember. But talked about being, about the Bears, making sure you keep the food up and all that stuff. And my wife on the back part of the house has a bird feeder that's on a swing arm. And from the ground to the bottom of the deck, I'm guessing, is 8 feet. Maybe a little higher. No, it's higher there. It's 10 feet. And then from the top of the deck to the handrail, not a mid-rail, top rail, is probably 30 inches. So 2.5 feet. So that's 14.5 feet. And then to get that bird feed, he has to reach out over the deck. That arm swings out a couple feet, so he's hanging on to that guardrail and trying to get that bird feed. And I hear the racket, and I go out there and scare him off. Get out, roll it. And he got off that deck, and he didn't look like he was too scared. Wasn't getting too excited about me yelling at him. And so I kind of started back toward the inside of the house, because I didn't have my pistol with me, so I could shut the door and keep it between him and me. And then all of a sudden he kind of took off and went off the other end of the house down the stairs. And yeah, it was my son-in-law. He had some evidence that it was a mother and 2 cubs, and that must have been the one I was shining old light on, barking like a dog, trying to run him off. Anyway, ran him off. Yeah, but I bet she's ready to get rid of them 2 youngins. What are they? Just they don't give their young but about 2 years, is it? That's a pretty long time, really. No, I guess horses would, if we didn't intervene, would be a family for a long time. Yeah, a herd. All right, cool enough. So anyway, that's the story on the Bears, y'all. Especially you campers. If any of you campers tuning in, that's another reason to keep your campsite cleaned up and picked up, to keep the darn masked bandits and the bears out of the darn camp. Don't come up here acting like that and then whine to some government official and make yourself a pest. Remember, you came here. He didn't get into your space. You got into his space. That's why we call it a national forest. So we can conserve some of our natural resources for future use. And you have to manage them. And the wildlife will manage themselves handsomely, given the amount of, if they have enough land to perform their ranges. If that makes any sense. Like them elk, they probably go, I wonder how many miles. What is the range of an elk? Anybody know what the range of the elk is that they have in the Smoky Mountains Great Park? I've seen them as far south as toward Cherokee. One was crossing the road. I'm about 45 minutes south of Cherokee. Boy, that would be one wild thing to just have a darn elk. To see one where you live at. Could you imagine that? To talk about that, the heritage of that animal and what it meant for the growth of this country and the success that frontiersmen lived off of the game that they found as they were making their way. If they didn't make it, they didn't make it. Shoot, man. Holy cow. Well, I don't see anybody watching, so I'll just continue rambling on unless somebody pops in here, or somebody calls me or something, man. So I'll just ramble on about that. But anyway, to re-see elk, and I believe elk got into portions of Georgia. I know they were in Tennessee, Kentucky, North Carolina, because they released them up there. Wow, man, elk. You ever seen one of them darn things? Woo. They stand, their shoulders, I seen one that was, the shoulders was at the top of the automobile it was standing next to, and it was a sedan, but still, doggone. You ain't ever seen, I mean, driving out west in the big truck, I saw a lot of antelope. And they're just, I guess they're about the same size as a whitetail. But that elk and them moose, or however you say them, those are totally different animals, man. That's like a black bear compared to a grizzly bear compared to a polar bear. Yeah, in that world. Like a Chihuahua compared to a Dachshund compared to a Retriever compared to a Doberman or a Shepherd compared to a Mastiff compared to a whatever, you know. Dog is good. What movie was that from? The Patriot. What'd they call him? The Fox? The Swamp Fox. And I can't remember the name of the character, but he fought in the Indian War and the French Indian War on, I don't know how that sided out, who he fought with or why he was there. Might have been just a, what do you call him, mercenary? But he was in the frontier and he got wound up in fighting the Indians or something like that. And buddy, all they had was long knives and hatchets and muskets. And them Indian, what did they had they would have a stick with a knot on the end of it. I forget what they called those things, but buddy, you don't want to get in swing radius of that dadgum thing. It'll lay you out or open. That's battle. But anyway, yeah, him and one of his men from that conflict who was fighting with him again in the American Revolution, they captured some documents from a colonel. I don't remember which colonel it was, but he also had two Great Danes. And one of them suggested, as they were rifling through all the personal effects of this general, that they burn the papers and eat the dogs. Young Lieutenant, which is the Swamp Fox's son, says, "Dogs?" He goes, "Dogs, good meat." And so, if you heard that and didn't know the story of him and the battles he went through, yeah. I mean, I imagine there's many a cold winter when some Indians' dogs mysteriously disappeared into the pot. Hey, I guess horses would go next. Cats, whatever was around, man. You didn't want to turn to cannibalism. Man, that's insane to me. Anyway, I talk about the turkeys. Probably did, and then I gotta start coming up with some new stuff unless people start coming on here and helping me out. But that's the season right now. I think we're out of it. Matter of fact, May, does it run through the 19th? I don't remember. But I got 2 hens strutting around here. That old bobcat I got might get them, but I have seen two hens strutting their little stuff around here, and I was sitting in the living room the other night and heard old hen, and I said, I hear a hen. My wife says, what? I said, I hear a turkey. She says, they're in the front yard. So I didn't get to see them, but I did see them at the top of the meadow there near the zinnia patch where I planted a bunch of zinnias. They probably in there eating my darn sprouts up. Claim rights at that point. Nah. As long as they don't eat them all, man. Don't be selfish. But there's a big old patch of collard green sprouts up there, and collard greens and what is it, kale or turnip? Guess I'll have to wait for them to come up. But anyway, so I got the old turkey call out in the evenings. I'll go out there on the front porch, and if I think I hear one, I'll get out there with the old box. I got the old cedar box with the slate and the chalk. Just to see if I can get them in close. You know, I ain't hungry. Be nice to have them close at hand, though. You know what I'm talking about now. So turkey. I saw old boy on the darn YouTubes the other night. He cooked them old wild turkey legs. That old turkey, what did he weigh? 18.5 pounds, old boy. Grandson shot it. But he cooked them thighs and legs, and he put them in a pot of water. I think it was a pot, and boiled them for I don't know how long. Too long, it seems, for me. I don't know. How long does it take? And then he coated them in some kind of flour mixture and deep fried them. For I don't know how long either. Him and his granddaughter, grandson, and wife were sitting on the back porch there, and they was doing the taste test, and they said it didn't taste too bad. I said, you must not be very hungry. Of course, you tell I eat anything. You come around getting my swing radius, you know. I don't know what. I just, man, I like to have some food in my mouth. It tastes good. It makes me feel good. Anyway, I'm getting older, and the doc keeps after me, so I'm like, slim down some. I don't know how, but I'm gonna have to. Y'all send me a message, help me out. I've done the Atkins. I know you got like the doc told me. He says it's like a bank account. If you're putting it in and taking nothing out, you ain't doing nothing but gaining. I said, well, you saying I got a lot of money? Anywho, yeah, I heard him loud and clear. Shoot, he's been real nice about it. He knows I guess I'm just hard headed or hadn't made the connection between health and body weight, and or hadn't had a serious effect on. I don't know, but I don't want no. I know one thing. I got the garden planted this week, boys and girls. Whoo, man. Yeah. Let's see, what is today? Today is Thursday evening. I got some time. Thursday evening. I looked at the weather forecast and it was after Easter. I didn't see no more frost in the long term. I was going to get that garden in. I told y'all I had 180 plants and some of them didn't make it. I probably had a germination or a survival rate of 70%. I got a dozen of 4 types of tomato. No. And 6 of another type of tomato. I put in those Cherokee purples. I put in 6 of those. Maybe been 5 because one might have keeled over. And then put in 6 Better Boys. Put in 6 Roma tomatoes, 6 grape tomato, and 6 cherry tomato. And that wasn't all of them. My wife took 1 or 2 and put it in a pot in the front yard. And then I started some sunflower. I've been trying for years to get darn sunflowers. I want the big ones. And I'm trying to get them where I got a good spot to put them. Don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I got too much shade around here, but I'm working on them. I'm moved that bed around 2 or 3 times, and I've had some success, but not the kind of success I think I deserve. And so I had 9 sunflower plants, and I spaced them out so they had plenty of room. And then there was a big front of that bed, and I was thinking, I got some more sunflower seeds. I could direct sow some in there and see what happens. We might get some that make it and all that stuff. And then I looked at that it looked like a half a tray. How many? 72 in a flat. I had about a half a flat. Might have been a little less than that. And so I just started putting them little old tomatoes in the dirt right in front of where I planted them sunflowers. May have to chop them down, but if the sunflowers don't make it, then I can transfer them, move them back or whatever. But anyway, that's what I ended up doing. Got talked about tomatoes. Got summer squash yellow, summer squash zucchini. Watermelon, cucumber, couple cucumber, about 4 bush beans. I got more seed, but I was going to do the 3 sisters, and I may do it yet. I may build a wall of it between the last tomato plant on one side of the garden that gets the most sunshine. Just dig a little mound, put a couple corn seeds, a couple squash seeds, and a couple bean seeds in the same mound. And then when they come up, thin them back and let them grow right there, and do about 4 or 5 of those, and then try and fit in some okra somewhere. Boy, I just did too many tomatoes. And I always like to have a little fresh okra. Now, I'm not the kind of guy who's got rows of it out there. Half of it I don't have animals to feed. And anyway, I just like to have the taste of it homegrown. And if I had to, could keep the seeds and overwinter or anything like that. They're hardy plants. They grow wild in Africa, the okra. So you can always harvest the bean plants. I've got, I think 3 of them survived. I took and planted some bell peppers. I took the seeds from a bell pepper I bought at the grocery store. Now, they say they're genetically modified, and I don't know if they'll grow more than 1 season, but I just thought I'd try it. And I've got some more, and I may just, I don't know, find a place and broadcast them in and let them compete and see how they do. I just crowd them in there, instead of having 3x2 spacing, start giving them 1.5x2 spacing or something like that, and interplant stuff. And it drive my wife insane out there trying to work it, but if I mulch it real well, it should be not too bad. There's going to be grass in it. I did no-till this year. I'll see how it goes. I hope it works well. Didn't put them in, but anyway, back to the story, man. Monday I went for a walk and had a doctor's appointment. Went to a doctor's appointment, post office, went to the grocery store, and then I got on the tractor and started. No, I just started getting ready. Yeah, on Monday. So I finished yesterday. And on Tuesday, I did a little stuff around the yard. And on Tuesday, I got up first thing and worked all day in the garden. Boy, my old back, I've been working on squatting more instead of bending over more. And I got out there in the garden and I got tired of squatting. My legs was out of shape. They're better than they were, but they can only go so far before they go, I ain't doing this no more. And I had to use my back until it said, I ain't doing this no more. And I barely got everything planted. That was on Tuesday. Yeah, that was on Tuesday. So half a day Monday, all day Tuesday. Wednesday, I got up, went for a walk, came home and cut the grass, wrote 2 scripts for videos, and went to bed. Took a shower and went to bed. So that's the gardening, man. That's the gardening. The season is upon us. And I debated about cutting that front yard. I've been holding off because I like all the flowers in it. But that was mostly gone. There's a couple small purple ones coming up there at the end, but I think they had gone to seed, so I didn't fret too much over cutting them back with a lawnmower. And I keep the old grass cut as high as that lawnmower cut, man. And then I don't cut it but every other week. Maintains old Tom Raleigh, a friend of mine, he called it woods grass. And that's what I called it. That's what I call it, woods grass. It's just stuff that has people have planted a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and Mother Nature's planted a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and that's just the way it is. I am not going to rip out lawns and put in sod and all that crazy stuff. That's crazy. Because then you got to go into all the maintenance expense of the fertilizer and the watering and the cutting. And then you got, like Bermuda likes to stay short. And I'm like, ugh. And when I say cut the grass, I think it took me, I don't know, half hour to walk it and cut it. Now the weed eating and blowing takes another maybe 30, 40 minutes. So it could end up taking an hour and a half to just do the basics. And I prune throughout the spring, so early spring. So I may have some more pruning. And I talked about that tree I poisoned. I was wondering if it's going to be effective. It's effective. It works. Yes, sir. Round up, drill a hole at an angle, put just a dropper in there and drop it in there and give it a while. If you don't see no results, drill another round of holes in it and put some more in it. And now, and when you see the results, just leave it alone. Some of the bottom limbs still look healthy, but it's just that poison in the circulatory system of that tree cutting off that particular portion of the tree. And I think it affects the roots. And the energy goes straight up at first in the springtime and then spreads out. So I think it works in the roots, but I'm just going to let that tree stand there And I may lose some vegetables from a limb falling off, or in the wintertime, the wind will blow and they'll crack and break off, but none of them are close enough to worry about the house. I might have to pick up the landscape, but I have to do that anyway if I cut the darn thing down. And got a dead tree laying out there and killed 15 other trees on its way down. I thought, that ain't right. That don't make no sense. And so I killed it standing up. And like I said, the limbs will fall up, but it'll provide perches for predators, like owls or hawks or something like that. It provided a good perch for those guys. People don't like it, but insects need something to eat too. I'd rather them be eating on them trees out there that they're naturally inclined to do, instead of eating on my pine house. Yeah, well, I'll take my chances. I know about all the termites and everything else. And yeah, you're going to have that when you live in the rural area. You just got to do the best you can to keep it clear and check on it on a regular basis and make sure you ain't got no infestations. That's what you got to do. And if you don't have any infestations, you're managing things properly. If you have an infestation, you take care of it. Get it under control, but you do that with regular inspections of your foundations, your seals, your decking, your posts, your foundation, everything. Just if you're out there working in your yard and making your home beautiful, you see that stuff. Educate yourself, boys and girls. Anyway, you guys out there, y'all probably know more about building than I'll ever know. I'm proud of you. I wish I'd have done it. Went into trades. I can't figure stairs. Now I can noodle it and I can get it done. I can outline it and maybe I can do it. But trying to figure it out and then lifting that heavy shit, I ain't got the brains back and all that. So but I do have some landscaping I'm doing back here, and I had some guys help me out and build a landing out there, and then they built some stairs from the deck down to the landing, and the landing's it's in the middle of a slope, so I got to build some stairs from the top elevation down to the landing, and then from the landing down to the lower elevation. That's going to require some more cross tie work and engineering and all that stuff, but I'll get it done eventually. And if my wife gets tired of looking at it, she can raise Cain and we can get out there together and do it. But I think about it every day. You know how that goes, seeing it in your mind's eye. Nobody else will ever see it the same way that you do, nor you see it the way they do. I guess that's just the way she goes. Let's see. I think there's some more notes here. How are we doing on time? Oh yeah, we still got the spring activities coming up. Fishing rodeo, Black Rock Lake, 3 May. That's this Saturday. I think it's from 9 to 3. Or it'll be a lot of fun. I've seen some boys catch some stuff out of that one. Plant sale also tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday, the 3rd. It's at the Old School Garden. I want to go see if they got some gardenias, man. I got 2 gardenias, and I like the smell of gardenia. That and privet. If it weren't such a weed, I'd have some of that privet. It takes me back to my childhood. So anyway, plant sale. And on 7th June, Clayton Ramshackle, we talked about. I live in a ramshackle. I ain't going to another, but y'all go. Yeah, and I said if they'd have Bluegrass Festival around here now, I think that'd drum up some business. Yes, sir. I think it would. I don't know where they could have it down in the pavilions. There's a field over there. Hell, they've got the Frisbee field. Yeah. They could have the pavilions as concession, put in a bandstand in the Frisbee field, and have grass sitting. And people can bring their lawn chairs and they can fill the place up and find a space and put in their lawn chairs and enjoy some bluegrass music. Ooh wee! Don't that sound like fun? That could be a Clayton sponsored thing, or Raven County Bluegrass Festival. I wonder who you could get to bill. Man, don't you know? These old glasses make me squint. Man, everything makes me squint anymore, trying to read the screen. Yeah, everything and I've been up since 4:30 this morning, and it's getting to be my bedtime, boys and girls. Anyway, yep. So let's if y'all see this, give me your thoughts on that Bluegrass Festival. I ought to go to city council meeting and try and promote something like that, man. We get in that Asheville and Cherokee bidding it then. Yeah. For sale. If you got anything for sale, listen, this is one of the reasons I wanted to start this little thing here is to offer up an opportunity to, let's go back to our mission statement where we share resources, we share ideas, we share information. So if you've got something for sale, you need to get off your property, you're tired of looking at it, ain't got no use for it, and you think Joe might do it, but you ain't sure, you could just fly the flag out there and tell them what you think you want to get rid of, and who knows, it just might get gone at a price or in a way that will make you happy. And the other party happy, right? Got to have those mutually beneficial relationships to have a good, strong community. Ain't got that right? I think that's right. That's the way I see it. Anyway, but I am still looking for a Harrow disc, the larger ones now. There was one on a little lawn plow, the other day. It didn't have anything. It weren't bigger than a darn dessert plate. I'd like to have one of them larger ones, the probably bigger the better, where I can make me a pan out of that thing. I'm going to build some sort of outdoor cooking apparatus, and who knows, I like a pan fried steak sometimes better than a grilled steak. You pan fry them good enough, you get that pan hot where you form that crust on there, boy, just as good. And you could throw some smoke on it if that's what you want to do. And mulch. I need some mulch. I got the darn garden put in now. Now I'm struggling. I don't want to go to the daggum Home Depot and spend an exorbitant amount of money for some mulch hay. I need to find an old farmer, somebody out here got hay that he's had for 2 years and he don't want to feed it no more, just wants to get shed of it. Give me a call, give me a price. I'll come get. I'd like to have the first load I'd put on there as many as my pickup truck will hold. And I don't know if that'll last me this year, or half a year, or 1 year, or 2 years. I don't know. Depending on how I use it. But if you got some you're really getting in a bind, I can buy it and start stockpiling it and composting it if it's really a good price for it. I've been getting about 3 or 4 loads of wood chips a year, and that wood chip can't keep up with my pace around here. I'm composting it, getting it heated up, and using it for erosion control. using it to hold back water, and I even use it for fuel. I know, yeah, it'll wash away, but you know what? It's putting nutrients back into the system. It's not being buried in a landfill. And that's what they do. Hell, they just stockpile that stuff in these inert fields. Not inert fields, but tree fields, these debris fields where they take all these trees. When they don't cut them up and leave them on site, they haul them off to a guy who don't do nothing but chop them up and cut them into little pieces and stockpile them and let them either sell them as mulch, throw in some darn dye and turn it red, turn it black, turn it any color you want, and put it in bags and sell it to you. Other guys, smaller operators, they just might stockpile it for years. And then after about 5 years or 10 years, they start digging in from the back and they've got good topsoil. Cool. Work a deal with the darn nurseries or whatever. That's cool. That's the way you do it, man. I'm just trying to do it as an individual. I ain't trying to make no money. I'm just trying to make it look. I'm just trying to do the gardening. I want to be that's a shame. I don't know if it's not. Just think, could you ever get to your point where all you wanted to do is garden? Imagine that. And you could, if you could, man. I'm not talking about getting out there every day breaking your back, but you walk in your garden almost every day during the growing season, and then you clean it up in the fall, then it lays fallow for a few months before you start to cycle over again. That's pretty cool. I always go through one of the growing valleys. Y'all know who it is if you live around me. And watch the progression of the seasons. And when I go for my walks, it's progression of the seasons, and I try to capture with some photographs. I could put some. That's what I ought to do. If anybody watches this, maybe one day I can put a slideshow on that screen behind me. I probably can now, but not off the computer, off the TV. But anyway, to show you some of the pictures that I've taken and what it looks like, you'll see it maybe from my perspective. Then again, you might look at it and go, what the hell was that guy thinking? Anyway, hey, I've been working on the, hey, hang on a minute, guys. I'll be right back. How was that? Did the music come through? I see the pictures came through, but I put some music with it, and that's Be Right Back. I was talking about I was working on that. So I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know if it works or not. I'll check it out later when I watch the stream. How much time we got? Oh, Lord, boys and girls. It is, according to the Confuser, it is 6:59. So we're going to have to conclude this. Maybe somebody will join up and ask me questions and get me on a track instead of let me just meander uselessly through the night. But anyway, I appreciate the opportunity. If you cruise past this thing, I appreciate you giving it a look and trying to understand what I'm trying to do. And also, I just appreciate the opportunity to get out here, whether anybody watches or not. Anyway, until next time, have a grateful day, and we'll see you next Thursday at 6 p.m.